Good evening to you and welcome. My name is Paul. I'm a health coach. I find yoga extremely valuable in helping people to improve their own health. And we've been doing a chair yoga class with several of my clients for a few months now. Unfortunately, as is the case with many other people in many other parts of the world, South Africa is in week 2 of a lockdown in an effort to prevent the spread of the coronavirus disease. And so we cannot hold our classes as we would normally do. And for that reason, I'm doing these classes on YouTube. So to the normal Monday evening chair yoga class, welcome to you. And if you are joining us via YouTube, welcome to you too. It's really great to have you, and it would be good to begin to be able to interact with you. So if you have any comments or suggestions or criticisms, you're more than welcome to put them in the comment section below. I want to apologize for the last week's class. I've learnt an important lesson, and that is that a whole hour on YouTube is long and boring and tedious, and that a class really doesn't translate well into an hour on YouTube. So we won't be doing that this week. I will ask you possibly to go through some of the material in last week's class if you have not already seen it. All I want to do this evening is introduce one further breathing exercise, or pranayama, and one further asana. I want to build on the theme that we started with last week, which is helping to improve breathing function. The coronavirus disease is a respiratory disease, and for that reason, breathing function is very, very important. Working on your breathing function is very important. And I discussed that at length last time, so I'm not going to dwell on that. The pranayama that we are going to be introducing this evening is called the bee breath, or sometimes humming bee breath. And in the Sanskrit, it's Bhramari pranayama. It builds on the full 3-part yogic breathing exercise that we spoke about last week and that we practiced last week. The full yogic breathing starts with an inhalation, moving your diaphragm as far down as you can, so your belly pooches out, so it feels as though you're breathing right into your belly. And then from there you breathe into and fill your entire middle chest, and from there you breathe into and fill the upper chest. So at that stage, by the time you've finished inhaling, your lungs contain about as much air as they possibly could. And what we did last week was then exhale slowly by constricting the throat slightly. We built on that by introducing a practice where we are exhaling forcefully rather than slowly. And this evening we're going to be introducing a different way of exhaling slowly, and that instead of by constricting the throat, we're going to be humming, which is where the name bee breath or humming bee breath comes from. And it's a great exercise because when you slow the exhalation, you force yourself to breathe slowly, you breathe very deeply, and that's great for helping you get the body out of its fight or flight stress response. Given that many of us are in lockdown, given that many of us are concerned about the coronavirus disease, it becomes very important to learn to relax. Relaxing often is not just a question of sitting and doing nothing and hoping that stress will go away. Relaxation really is an active process, and this is a very important part of that process. So as you're doing this pranayama, I want you to think in terms of making the exhalation last about twice as long as the inhalation. As we're doing this, you're going to be breathing in through your nose and out through your nose. As you breathe out, just lightly rest the tip of your tongue just behind your teeth on the hard palate in your mouth. Keep your lips closed and hum. And as you are humming, you're going to be creating vibrations in your head as well as in your chest cavity. And those vibrations are supposed to assist with clarity of thinking, but they're also very effective in feeding a signal into the vagus nerve, which is a nerve that carries information to and from many of your essential organs. And injecting that information into the vagus nerve also helps directly in re-establishing control of your body and getting it out of that fight or flight stress response. So it's a very helpful exercise. To do this, I'm just going to take off my glasses so that I can do it more comfortably. To do this, what you want to do is use your thumbs just to fold forward or fold the flap of cartilage over your ear canals, just to close off your ear canals. Do that gently and lightly. There's no reason to squash or to try to squash those bits of cartilage into the ear. And while you're doing that with your thumbs, you can use your other fingers just to block off your eyes. So that you're just cutting off senses, or your sense of sight. If you're uncomfortable doing that, don't worry about blocking that. You can close your eyes, or you can in fact even keep your eyes open if you're more comfortable. The whole point is to relax. So if you do something that's not relaxing, just don't do it. So start off by inhaling deeply. So into your belly, into your chest, into your upper chest, and as soon as your upper chest is full, block off your ears with your thumbs gently and hum. And you'll find that as you modify the frequency and intensity of your humming, you will build up a frequency that starts to resonate in your head, and that's what you're wanting to achieve. Do this practice daily, and over time build up from perhaps 3 repetitions to 5 or 7 or 11 or as many as you feel like doing until you're starting to feel relaxed. For now, let's begin with 3. So doing it with me. Inhale deeply into your belly, into your chest, into your upper chest, block your ears and hum. Exhale just until you're comfortable. Inhale again. is not a direct purpose of Bhramari pranayama. Many people find that setting up that resonance inside their head is also great for shaking loose some of the phlegm that might be building up in your throat, or that might be blocking your sinuses or congesting your sinuses. So do not be surprised if at the end of that you feel as though you need to blow your nose or clear your sinuses in some way. Many people find that, and that's very healthy, and that's part of the reason that I'm introducing that this evening. We'll be back in a moment with an asana exercise. The asana we're going to be doing this evening is called Prasarita Padottanasana, or the wide-legged forward fold. Extending the idea of assisting with breathing, this is a very useful asana. Because it is a forward fold, and because it allows you to remain in a forward folded position for a while, it assists you to clear excessive fluid that might be building up in your lungs. So if you are feeling a little congested, this is a great way of just allowing gravity to assist your body to clear some of the excess fluids that might be building up in your lungs. And it is great for flexibility too. I'm doing it first as a normal standing asana, and then I will demonstrate it, a version that you can do in the seated position as a seated asana. So, to start with, stand nice and straight in Tadasana. So your feet are parallel with one another, facing forward, approximately hip width apart. Your knees are slightly bent. There should be a straight line running between your ear, through your shoulders, through the tops of your hips, through your knees, through to your ankles, so that everything is nicely stacked vertically, and it shouldn't cost you a lot of energy to stand upright. Keep your shoulders back, keep them nice and relaxed, keep everything straight and relaxed. You then move your feet slightly apart, something like 3.5 feet apart. That's up to you. If you find that your hamstrings are tight, you might want to tilt your toes in to face one another slightly, or otherwise keep your feet approximately parallel with one another. Keep your knees slightly bent. Do not lock your knees back. Just before you fold, you'll be placing your hands on your hips, and you induce a slight increase in the curvature, this lordosis curvature at the bottom of your spine. And you do that by tilting your pelvis forward slightly, tilting the top of your pelvis forward slightly. So if you may have noticed, that will then increase this curvature. And then you simply allow yourself to fold forward. And at a certain point, just let your hands hang and then gradually float further and further down. An important thing here is that if you have problems with very high blood pressure, preferably do not allow your head to drop below the level of your knees. Maybe not even that far. So just allow yourself to fold forward. If you do not have problems with blood pressure issues, you're welcome to go down as far as you are comfortable. The intention is not to set any prizes for how far down you can go, and it's also important to keep your knees bent. Just allow yourself to hang, float further and further and further down. And when you are comfortable there, move your hands behind your back and raise them as high as they will go.
And just keep floating further and further down. And just hang there, inhaling deeply, exhaling deeply, for as long as you're comfortable. Do remember to keep breathing. And when you've had enough, return your hands to your hips. And then very slowly, just bring yourself back to a standing position.
Don't go up too quickly, especially if there's blood pressure issues. You might find that you feel a little dizzy. So if you are a bit dizzy, just come up a little more slowly next time. So again, induce that curvature in your lower back. Keep your knees slightly flexed. And just fold forward. Keep your back long and straight. So keep your head a little bit forward. Don't drop your head excessively far, or don't drop your chin towards your chest excessively. Allow yourself to hang. Just drift forward as far as you're comfortable. Then lock your hands behind your back. Keep your back nice and straight. Raise your arms and tip over forwards. And just hang there. Keep breathing. Keep your back straight. And then when you're ready to come up, put your hands on your hips. Raise your head and slowly come up. You might want to bend your knees if that helps to straighten your back. And come up to a straight position. And we'll do that one last time. So again, induce that curvature in your lower back. Fold forward. Exhaling as you're going forward. Keep your back straight and long. Hang. You can also just hold your elbows just to get your arms out of the way. If that's this stage, if you find yourself being able to go further forward, you're welcome to do that. And then at a certain point, raise your arms behind your back. Keep your back straight and long. Keep breathing. And when you're ready, return your hands to your hips. Raise your head slightly, bend your knees, and very slowly come back up to a standing position. Bring your feet back together and return to Tadasana. And I'm now going to demonstrate a version of that you can do in a seated position if you're uncomfortable doing this standing. In principle, the seated version of Prasarita Padottanasana is exactly the same as the standing version that we've just done. Come to the seated version of Tadasana. So back nice and straight, shoulders back, head vertically above the rest of your spine. Move your feet apart, a comfortable distance apart, possibly something like 3 to 3.5 feet apart. Keep your feet parallel with one another and keep your shins approximately vertical. Again, induce a slight curvature in the lumbar spine by tilting your pelvis forward. Put your hands on your hips and just gently fold forward as you exhale. At a point, you can release your hips, and you can either just let your arms hang, or if you release that far down that they can't hang comfortably on the floor, just fold your arms in front of you and just gently float down. Try to keep your spine long, keep your head in line with your spine, so you don't want to drop your head, your chin to your chest, you don't want to tilt your head back. Just keep your head as a natural extension, or your neck as a natural extension of your spine. Keep your back straight and long, and just fold down as far as you can do so comfortably. Keep breathing. When you're ready, clasp your hands behind your back, raise them up behind your shoulder blades, and just allow that. See if that can intensify the stretch. Keep breathing and just remain in that position as long as you comfortably can. And as always, if you have high blood pressure issues, don't let your head drop too far down. Try to keep it at least above your knees. And then when you've had enough, return your hands to your hips. Bring your head up. And then very slowly, just bring yourself back into a seated position again. And repeat that another 2 times. And that brings us to the end of this evening's class. I would encourage you to practice yoga regularly. 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes daily is fine. Longer is better even. But try not to make it a once a week thing or once every 2 week things. As with anything in life, the more you practice, the easier things become and the more benefits you get out of them. So until next week, keep practicing. Select a couple of exercises from last week's class. Maybe introduce some of the things that we did this evening. And just keep practicing, keep going. Until we see each other again, I wish you health. Please stay safe. At least if you're in South Africa, please stay home. Minimize your risk of coming into contact with other people outside. If you do come into contact with other people, be sure to wear a mask. Wash your hands regularly. Avoid touching your face. And sanitize. I hope that you can avoid infection. Let's meet again in a week and everybody be healthy. As we always do to end our sessions, just scoot forward a little bit in your chair, scoop a big load of prana as you bring your arms up over your head as you inhale. Exhale as you bring your hand back to heart center. And we say, Namaste.